Hey everybody, it's Mike. So I'm here to give my opinion on a question that was left on the channel. Beck's Cousins asks, "Hi Mike, I have a question. When you talk of the borderline splitting, specifically the devaluation split, what confuses me is if there is a trigger at all. Do borderlines split on their own for no apparent reason? Or do they split due to the hypersensitivity to things we tell them? In my case, I always felt like I had some fault in his devaluation split because it was always something I said that would hurt him in some way and cause the split panic rage in him. I'm left with the sense of guilt you talked about in the video." And then my response was, no. Whatever triggers them is in their head, waiting for you to do anything they can interpret as a rejection. If you think about it, what triggers them one day is totally fine the next, and what is totally fine yesterday triggers them today. No, you had nothing to do with it. There is no rhyme or reason to it, other than they always feel unlovable and they are looking for reasons to blame you for what they are always feeling inside. That is the essence of unconscious projection. So for me, it has been really helpful to understand what borderline personality disorder is. And one of the things I read that was most helpful for me was that borderlines don't see you. They don't see you. What they see is a fuzzy outline of a person, and then they project whatever's going on inside on that. So, just the other day I was, I think, doing a little bit of YouTube research and watching a video of somebody saying what it's like to have borderline personality disorder. Excuse me, and saying things like, if he looked down and looked at his watch, that would be enough. The way they look at their watch, just the fact that I just had to burp there, they're already filled. This is what's important to understand, as I understand it. And bear in mind, again, I'm not a borderline. I'm doing my best to try and understand what I experienced and what I saw. And the more that I can understand it, then the easier it is for me to separate, to understand, have compassion, and then heal from myself. Because what Bex is talking about is the crazy making. It doesn't make any sense. There's no rhyme or reason to it. And it's not just that they're irrational. It's that it's not even like it's anywhere near. Let's take, for example, let's say a man could complain if he wanted to be sexist and say, yes, women are irrational. They come and they ask, does my ass look fat in these jeans? And then it's like, you say yes or no, then, you didn't tell me I looked good today. I just got my hair done. You didn't say anything. Well, we could say, okay, you're being too sensitive. You're being irrational. But at least there's a rhyme and reason and you can understand it. And then you can predict it. So next time, a woman comes up to a man and says, does my ass look fat in these jeans? All of a sudden, oh gosh, my phone's going off. I got to go. I'll hold that thought. I'll be right back. Because the last thing you want to do is answer that. Or you figure out what answer it is that they want to hear. And then if the answer is no, then does my ass look fat in these jeans? No. Okay, good, thank you. Now you do that every time and you'll be okay. Actually, you probably won't, but you get what I'm saying. It's predictable. Even if somebody acts irrationally about a sensitive subject, if you know what that sensitive subject is and you know what it is that they need to hear or how they need you to communicate to them, as long as you adjust yourself to that and then stay consistent, they won't react as much, or that might even fix the problem. But the borderline, in my experience, doesn't have one. For example, the woman I was with, the last split she did on me was because of a word that I had said. Now, we had been talking for months. She had been talking to me. She had been coming to me saying, I need some help. And, so she'd go back and forth on whether or not she wanted to get help. And we had agreed that we needed counseling and blah, blah, blah. So we were looking for a counselor. And, when I suggested to her borderline personality disorder, she went back and forth. And she was in the stage of she was back and it was okay to talk about it. And she wanted to talk about it. And she was even wanting to look at it. And I was doing my part and sharing this. So one day we were really close and we were, hugging and loving and beautiful and we're the best of friends. And then she started talking about her intuition. And she started talking about having her doubts about her intuition. And me, thinking I'm being supportive, I said something along the lines of, yeah, sometimes, we have to look at our magical thinking. I can't trust my intuition because I teach spirituality and intuition. I can't trust my intuition all the time. There's a magical thinking that borderlines have sometimes. And it was that phrase, magical thinking, I could see her eyes went. Now, I could have said that the day before, she would have been fine. It was because we had had a close, intimate experience. She was already primed and ready. So I'm willing to bet that, Bex, if you're able to, you might not be able to, but if you can go back, you'll probably remember that just before your partner split on you and raged, there was probably some intimacy, which creates even more insanity. Because in a normal scenario, the more intimate you become, the more trust. People drop their guard and then they laugh, and then you can after you've, let's say you've made love and you've been kissing or whatever it is, and I love you and you're the best, and then you can say, you don't have to keep asking me about your ass looks fat in that jean. I love your ass just the way it is, and then that's great. No. With a borderline, if that happens to be the issue, you get close, you're hugging, you're kissing, there's real intimacy, I love you, blah, 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 and then all of a sudden, does my ass look fat in these jeans is going to be the thing that will end the relationship forever. And you will be stuck with, what did I do? What did I say? What happened? How did this? It won't make any sense. There will be no rhyme or reason. And that's because it didn't come from you. It can be the opposite. It can be you're sitting there and you look them in the eyes and you say, I really love you. You can be, what the hell do you mean you love me? What does that mean? Are you trying to control me? That's it. It won't matter what you say. It has nothing to do with you. Their feeling is already there. They're already feeling really, really like they're this. All the time. That is going on all the time inside of them. And they're inconsolable. They're broken. It's a very serious emotional and mental disease. It's going on all the time. They're doing their best to keep themselves together. When you get close to them, when they feel close, when they feel love, then this starts going crazy. And it doesn't matter what. It's a look on your face. You looked at your watch. You said a word. You didn't say a word. It won't matter. It's completely, totally irrational. It is as irrational as possible. It's not even like irrational, like in the sense of they're sensitive and being irrational. It's irrational, meaning it literally came out of nowhere and has no connection to anything that has just happened. So that's important to understand. The other thing, I guess I'll talk about that in another video. All right, so that's it. The answer to your question. What is it that triggers them? Is there anything you can do to prevent the trigger when it happens? The answer is no, you can't. And there wasn't anything you did. Just assume there was nothing you did. It's completely going on inside of them. This is why it's a mental illness. It's not, if you want to use the word insanity, I don't like that word, but if you were to use that, one definition would be that insanity is not having an accurate view of external objective reality. In this case, it's not just skewed or sensitive or extreme, or insecurity. It's that it literally came out of nowhere and has no bearing on anything. That's why it is in the realm of mental illness. Okay? All right, I hope that helps. Thanks for the questions. Keep the questions coming. All right, talk to you later.